NBA 2K20 tutorial number 5. Today I'm going to show you guys the best point guard build I have found. It plays very similar to Dwayne Wade and Jason Kidd, so that's nasty. We will also study in detail the major differences and advantages of pie charts across different positions in the player builder in 2K20 this year, so make sure you take notes on that. That's really important. And if you enjoy my tutorials, make sure you click on the link above if you want to see more, and the rest I will make for you guaranteed this year in my all 2K20 tutorials playlist, so check that out if you want. And let's take a quick look at this Wade and Jason Kidd build, which comes with 60 badges. Now, shout out to 2K Reddits for all the statistics it has been providing and the numbers on like what builds is what across what positions and how many attribute points, how many badge points and all of that. That was the research that was used to create this build, which I'll go into detail later. But in a firstly, just a quick glance, I'll break everything down for you, but just take a look at the physicals, very high on this build, badge upgrades also very high. The attributes are very balanced as you can see on the left, and there's actually a lot of tinkering you can do to suit your style. But the key to this whole thing is, this guy is 6'5". All of those numbers, all of those badges, and he is huge. A 6'5" point guard handler with these stats, these attributes, and like I said, the attributes are flexible, so you can make changes, and I'll talk to you guys about that later. But what I want you to understand is, he's 6'5", and look at the physicals. 91 speed, 80 acceleration, and 86 vert. And how do you make a point guard this big, this versatile, and this just talented physically? Well, what you gotta do is, you gotta put him in the small forward position. This is absolutely key in 2K Builder this year, I believe. I will delve into the numbers in detail now, but trust me, small forward is the move for handlers. Now, take a look at this. This chart is showing you the different positions on the left, all of the pie chart numbers, so the pie charts are broken down to 1 to 10, and it's showing you how many attribute points each position start with relative to the pie chart they have, and then how many total you have available. That comes from your potential points, and all of it combined, how many total ending points you have. Alright, so if you take a look, this initially, all of us are going to do this, right? Because you're going to look at the build with the most total ending attributes, and that one is actually the shooting guard position with pie chart number 10. You're going to end up having 1,324 attribute points by the end. So you might be like, Sam, why don't I just jump right onto that and see what I can do with it? Well, it's more than that. Even though point guard, as you can see, relatively always have the least attributes, what they do end up with, they always have the most badges. Shooting guard, on the other hand, even though they end up with most of the attributes, they kind of end up with the least amount of badges, and they just have less flexibility to them. Small forwards is kind of like an in-between, but the key that this chart is not showing you, which I'm about to show you now, is height. Height in 2K Builder gives you bonuses if you decrease it. So a small forward itself starts at 6'7". So the goal here is you want to find a build, or essentially a position, where you can decrease the height as much as possible while you can still, effectively use the build. This is because, watch what I do here. I am increasing the height to the maximum. This year, if you increase the height, you obviously you gain stuff, but the stuff you gain is not playmaker related. Like, look what I've done. Of what I've gotten really as a boost. I have gotten standing dunk +9, but look at all the negative attributes I'm getting. I'm losing driving lane up, I'm losing driving dunk, I'm losing a whole bunch of shooting ratings, I'm falling off a cliff in ball handling with -11, and I'm losing, defensive points. So this is highly detrimental for a point guard or lead handler of your team. You can't lose those stats. Like, you're losing point guard or handler related stats. So it will make you think it's very hard to create a large point guard if you start off the position as point guard. And also look at all the physicals attributes I'm losing because I'm increasing the height, losing vertical, losing acceleration, and losing speed while gaining strength, which is, pointless once again for a point guard. The goal obviously is to decrease the height. And if you decrease the height, look at all the huge playmaker buffs I'm getting. First, take a look at the physicals. Major increase in speed, major increase in acceleration, major increase in vertical, trivial loss in strength. And all of those buffs in physicals are perfect for a handler because it will increase your ability to get away from defense, create separation, and drive. Now take a look at the finishing. All of the buffs I'm getting by decreasing the height significantly. I'm getting huge driving layup, huge driving dunk. I'm losing points in standing dunk. Once again, that's trivial for what we're trying to make here. A point guard lead handler build. Shooting getting buffs, which is huge. And then playmaking, look at the playmaking. +12 on ball handle. because I'm a small forward with minimal height. Now I'm getting all of my handles back. Defensively, once again, that's trivial. Not trying to make a defensive build here. Would you increase the defense here? Of course. Like, if you mix the points around, you can have actually very good perimeter defense and lateral defense. But as you can see, what I did was I just put it on defensive rebounding because my guy's going to be in the corner, likely guarding a lock. So I just want rebounding so I can crash the glass because I'm 6'5" with 86 vertical. I'm going to grab some freaking boards. I don't really care about defending anybody from the corner. And with that said, that's where you see the advantages. If you choose a small forward who you are aiming to be a point guard, you can make him as short as possible. And if you make him as short as possible, you're going to get a lot of buffs. And all of those buffs synergizes perfectly for a point guard. So making a small forward point guard just makes sense. Okay, now in terms of the pie charts and such, obviously you'll be using the heavily playmaker pie chart, as you can see there, which, like I talked to you guys before in the previous tutorials, if you want to check those out, my build ones, is that playmaking type or the pie gives you extra shooting. As you can see, 72 3-pointer, even though this guy's not really supposed to be a shooter. This is because playmaking pie gets you shooting. In terms of the physical profile, you want this one, which is a major vertical and major agility buffs. Very small strength. Like I said, this guy is not meant here to be strong. He is a lead handler that can like just get in the paint really quickly and finish it up. And as you see, if you look at the physicals right now, this is my small forward playmaker without, you know, the additions I'm showing you how to make later. Even without the height addition, look at his physicals. They're not that impressive. They're 84, 80, and 76. But you know, by the end of this, the rest I'm gonna show you, he's gonna crack 90, high to mid 90s in speed and acceleration, and he's gonna get into the low 70s and low 80s, high 70s and low 80s into vertical. So in terms of the attributes, like I showed you guys earlier, if you do it exactly the way I have done here, you're gonna end up with 60 badges, very balanced badges, no less. 14 finishing, 15 shooting, 30 playmaking, and one, you know, trivial one again in defensive rebounding. Now, but for those of you, if you actually do want more perimeter defense and lateral quickness because you're playing with this build in the park and not just pro-am, or you do a lot of my career and you actually want to defend ball for some reason, I suggest you don't. But if you want to, you can lower the defensive rebound ratings, lower a little bit of the standing dunk, and lower a little bit of the post moves. You only end up losing like maybe 1 to 2 badge points, but then you actually have very decent perimeter defense and lateral quickness. Always likely in the low 70s. You can do that if you want, but I don't. I want rebounding and barely any defense because I want to just crash the glass and attack. This guy for me is an all-out attacker, 24/7, going to be in the corner, not doing any defense. And in terms of the weight, this is also where it comes in. He starts off as a 205 pounds because he is a small forward. And once again, because we're making a point guard, he doesn't need to be heavy. If you decrease his weight to as low as possible, his vertical actually gets into the 89. Acceleration gets to 94. Strength once again falls off a cliff. But if you do that, that's a very quick guy that jumps very high. And vertical and rebounding goes hand in hand. If you have that vertical that high with defensive rebounding that high, with at 6'5", this guy will be grabbing boards. So really, he is built to get triple doubles. And you can see the wingspan obviously decreased that to the maximum down to 77. If you do so, the major advantage coming from that obviously is just the shooting buffs, right? Like you can see the mid-range shot is now 82 and the 3-point shot is now 78. So this guy can attack off the dribble and shoot extremely well. So if you review all of the attributes at this point, just everything put together, excellent finisher, absolutely excellent. Good close shot finishing, very reliable mid-range, good enough 3-pointer, 78, very high, solid free throw, decent post fade actually, incredible passer, incredible ball handler, and incredible post player actually. So this guy can also make plays out of the post, and that's actually relevant because he is a 6'5" point guard, masking as a small forward position, but he is essentially a point guard. So this guy can hit post fades, and relatively, I feel, at least at the beginning of the year, a lot of us are just gonna run into these tiny locks. So if you got a 6'5" point guard with like 89 vert, 86 close shot, 95 post moves, and 78 post fade, he's gonna do a little bit of damage in the post. Once again, defensively, this guy is a non-factor. I just buffed up the rebounding because I might as well get him to get some rebounds and help out the team crash the glass with his high vert and a very decent rebounding and good height. You could up the defense, but that's a preference. You can do that and just take away the rebounding points. But my preference is to grab rebounds and start the break and, you know, just be a constant triple double threat all game long. Now, you do all that, you're going to end up actually with a lot of flexibility in your takeover. There's actually 4 of them: playmaker, shot creator, slasher, and post score. I like the post score one because we obviously haven't been able to like fully lab it, but you guys remember post score takeover is a cheese. So if I got a 6-foot guy with 95 post move with 78 post fades, maybe I can hit some post fades and, you know, just punish that tiny log who is trying to beat me with, you know, his tininess. And remember, this guy can post, but at the same time, he's incredibly fast. Like this guy's probably faster than a lot of like tiny logs. So it's truly an all-around dominant build. And his badge versatility is extremely high with a total of 60. I suggest do what you like, go with your preference in terms of these badges. I'll obviously show you what I prefer, and I'll explain to you my logic behind it. But I suggest do what you like, make it suit your game, because this guy is truly a very versatile build. For me though, in terms of the finishing badges, I just made him a very good slashing kind of dude. He's got Giant Slayer, Slippery Finisher, Fancy Footwork, Contact Finisher, and Teardropper. I expect him to get to the second level of the defense and just use his strength, well, not strength, but use his size, incredible speed to get there, and then he uses ratings to, you know, have a whole bunch of ways to finish with craftiness. That's what I want from this guy. In terms of the shooting badges, it's going to be mostly focused on the fact that he can probably hit some long range shots with range extender. I expect this guy to shoot like 3 shots, you know, per minute, so he's going to have volume shooter on. He is the offense. Putting Deadeye on to deal with the closeouts, and also difficult shots just to buff his pull-up ratings. Deep fades, I'm just adding. I was trying to test it out here, but you never know. Maybe he can hit some deep fades. I actually truly believe this guy will maybe get like 6 points a game just from the post. That's huge. If your point guard build can get you 6 points a game in the post, especially in some sort of mismatch, or just if he's deep in the paint, I'll take it. So that's like 6 extra points from your point guard from the post that I believe this guy can do. The playmaker badges. Obviously, you have 30 points, which is a lot. You can get a lot of Hall of Fames like you see at what I've gotten there. You don't necessarily need to get Dimer. I'm just a nice guy, so I'm going to get it. Floor General, same thing. You don't have to get that. So if you don't do that, you can get tight handles. You can get break starter. You can get downhill. If this guy do end up getting a lot of rebounds, I'll probably add in downhill and just have him get the rebound from the corner. Maybe he can get 6 to 7 a game with 80 rebound rating and 6'5" and like freaking 90 vert. He probably could. So then he's gonna be a downhill machine, just starting every freaking break. And then he's gonna be a crazy triple double threat all game. I think this guy. And then defensive badges. You can do clams if you want. Intimidator. You have 1 here, so it's trivial, but I did Intimidator. So this will probably be the build I'll be using to start off the year. I enjoy it quite a bit when I was testing out here. As you can see, he can finish really strong and has a very good handling and can also hit some threes. Now, going back to the statistics though, in this chart, what you see here are all the numbers that comes from point guard builds that are just not much modifications to the height, weight, and wingspan, but essentially if you do point guard builds, they're going to be like this in terms of attribute points as they get to 99. I wanted to show you guys this because it kind of doubles down on at least my approach that if you are going to make a point guard, yes, you get more badges, but I would rather use it as a small forward because I get to be tall. For those of you who've played 2K a lot, you can't beat height. When you're taller in 2K, you're just better in a lot of things. Like being taller help in everything. And for those of you who've probably been testing a lot in 2KU, this year mismatch is real. Like even if you're just regular size, if you're bigger, it's gonna be huge. But like even if you're same size, it's decent. If you're smaller than the guy that's dealing with you, it's tough. Like if you're smaller than your defender, or if you're just smaller than, or you're a lot smaller than the help defender, it's gonna suck for you. So if you're trying to make a point guard with a point guard build, I don't think you want to do that because you can't up the height. Because you up the height for a point guard is too much damages. But if you down the height, huge buff. So you down the height for a small forward. If you down the height of a small forward, he ends up being a huge point guard. Like 6'5" is a huge point guard. So like there's no harm in downing small forward height to make yourself a point guard. Just look at all these buffs once again. I can't get around this. Like, the physical buffs are huge. 6'5" is also a physical buff, right? Like, the fact I'm 6'5" is a buff, a huge buff. And all of the stats that are buffed, handler related. All the stats that are decreased, not handler related. I know it's a little bit less badges, but badges are great in 2K. Like, attributes is probably like the least important thing if you're looking between badges, height, and physicals. But I'm just saying, like, this guy doesn't have that less badges, but he has way more physical and way more height and the same attributes. Do it. Just do it. Alright, and like I said, if you want more defense, do it. Like, I just got the rebounding, so you can make the changes you want. Test out this build if you want, but I do believe this is the most versatile point guard build in the right hands because he has incredible physicals and he's a huge guy. Alright, so as always, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you guys coming to the channel and watching my content as always. Shout out to BucksGG for the sponsorship and support. And if you guys want more tutorials, stick with me all year long. Check out the all tutorial playlist, and I will see all of you next time.